I think I've made a terrible mistake.
When you have major life decisions, what's the best way to go about them, and how can economics or analysis by economists help you? My name's Matt Rosu. I'm with Susquehanna University, and I am excited to be joined again by Mike Enz from Virginia Tech. Mike, thanks again for being here to talk a little bit about the White Lotus.
Thanks for having me.
So we've got a couple big decisions that were made in the White Lotus season one. And we're going to watch the clips for a little background on the decisions made here, discuss this, but then also discuss a little bit about the economics, how some economic research has come into play, and maybe how you can make big decisions a little bit easier. So let's go to the clips.
I think I've made a terrible mistake.
Well, we still got a scuba. It's the last day we can do it.
Why?
Because we go home tomorrow.
Oh. I'm thinking I'm not going home. Yeah, I think I want to stay here. The guys need a 6 for their crossing because the guy that they've been training with, he keeps flaking because he's a drunk. And in the spring, we're all going to do a hokulea through all of Polynesia, which sounds amazing.
Honey, you're not going on that. You're 16, you're in school.
School's easy. I can just finish online.
This is absurd. What about your life at home?
But what life at home?
What about us? Your family.
Come visit.
Wait, I can't tell if you're being serious.
I'm very serious.
Quinn, is this about your phone? Because we wouldn't have your new phone shipped here.
No.
Because relax, it's gonna be there when we get home.
What? Mom, I don't care about a phone. I don't even want a phone.
Well, you're getting a phone. You're not gonna not have a phone.
This is ridiculous. Look, staying here without us, not an option, no.
I support you, Quinn. Live your dream. Paddle to Fiji.
Jane,
What?
What?
I can't believe that I'm saying this, but I think I made a mistake.
What's a mistake?
The mistake is. The mistake is getting married to you. I don't want to be a +1 my whole life.
Okay, so don't be. I mean, I'm not telling you to be anything.
But that's just how it is.
Okay, so are you blaming me because you're not more successful?
No, I'm not blaming you for anything. You've done nothing wrong.
What a relief. Like, after I've wined you and dined you and asked you to marry me and then made you the center of my life, it's just nice to know you're not pissed.
Shane, this is about me. I'm not okay with being a trophy wife. Everything's fine. I'm happy. Promise. I'll be happy.
Interesting little clip. We see two reasonably major life decisions happening here. Would you like to start with Rachel decision to stay or stay with Shane, or Quinn's decision to leave the family to stay in Hawaii? Which one might be the more interesting one to start with?
Certainly the one that I don't understand is Rachel's decision. So why don't we start there?
Yeah. So Rachel, the honeymoon from hell happened for reasons that were not entirely their fault, although Shane kind of made some of them their fault. If you haven't seen our previous discussions of Shane and Armand, they're in previous videos, you should check those out. But she left. She decided to maybe at least consider leaving, and certainly was left on the honeymoon, separated a little bit, but then at the ending coming back. So you don't the idea to leave somebody after you made the decision to get married is pretty enormous. She says, I guess I understand that one a little bit better in terms of almost like an option value. And I think it's pretty, first I'll say to everybody, I think it's kind of cold and calculated to talk about marriage as an option value. But if you decide I am getting divorced, the option to stay is, I mean, I guess there's rare cases where this isn't the case, but basically it's over, right? It is completely over. But by staying, it's not necessary. There still is the option to change, in 1 day, in 5 days, in 1 month. So given it was a stunningly different and stressful situation, and actually given Shane's reaction at the end, where he's clearly thinks this is an amazing thing that she's there. I don't think I have as much. I can see her point of view on this one.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I think at least the way that I would be looking at it if I were her, right, is we've seen quite a bit from Shane during this, and my guess is if this were real life, she's seen a lot of this stuff before, right? However, from what we see as an audience of Shane during this time,
yeah.
I don't see that as getting better. And so, if I'm doing the analysis, I'm thinking about moving forward. I don't see how that's changing. That's who Shane is, and I would not want to be with Shane.
Yeah.
Not a chance. And so, to me, I mean, yeah, could you stick around longer to see if it would change? Sure. And I think that's kind of human nature. I think most people, when you talk to them, particularly people who have been divorced, they will admit that they spent too long in that marriage, because it is a pretty big decision, and you keep holding this hope that something's going to change, and it never does, right?
Yeah.
So you make the decision to move on. So, is she just in that stage of kind of still hoping? The way she spoke there, to me, it just reads as she's, trying to convince herself.
I will be happy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what she says. It's okay.
Yep.
So there's some interesting scholarship by economists on making these major life decisions. The one that I know best, Steven Levitt, has written a lot on this, and actually had a pretty major paper. Title: Heads or Tails: The Impact of a Coin Toss on Major Life Decisions and Subsequent Happiness. And I don't you're nodding your head like you're pretty familiar with the study. Without, I didn't we didn't prep. I don't prep for most of the stuff. So I have the article up, but I haven't even really reread most of this. But from what I recall, is that when people have these decisions and they're really not sure, um, flipping the coin and actually they tend to be happier when they flip the coin to make the change, when the change happens from this, which is kind of odd because it's coming down to a flip of a coin. So let me share quick on the screen some of the tough decisions. I'll preface by asking, have you ever made any major decisions based on the flip of a coin?
I don't think I have. If I have, I can't recall. But I do remember when Levitt was searching for volunteers for this to make some major life decision by flipping a coin. Um, and I think to me, it sounds like people could be happier after making a decision by flipping a coin, because even if it doesn't work out the way that they were hoping, they could say, well, it's because, I left it up to a flip of a coin, rather than
Yeah.
it did this kind of deep dive analysis of all the pros and cons and came up this way. And how could I be so stupid? Instead, it was the coin's fault.
Yeah, yeah. So we see there's a little bit of a chart on the screen, like the different things you could look at: break my bad habit, go on a diet, quit drinking, dye my hair, break up, go back to school, quit my job. Uh, so respondents were more likely to follow the coin toss for less important decisions. First of all, that makes some sense. I think a bit of the economics behind it to me makes a little bit of sense in terms of if you're really struggling with you're not sure what to do, clearly in your mind it's close.
Yeah.
So even if it is this major decision, but if you're really not quite sure what you should do in a particular case, and you think maybe you should quit your job, or maybe you shouldn't quit your job, or maybe you should stay with somebody, or maybe you should break up. If it's really that close, then maybe it is just best to live with the thoughts of a coin toss, and the coin toss will just let you decide. Who knows? Maybe that's what Rachel did. She went in a room and flipped and said, "Hey, I can be happy, and that's why I will stay."
Yeah. Well, I do like the fact that they call changing hair color a minor decision. I'm glad people aren't
Yeah.
placing too much importance on hair color, or maybe hair at
Well,
all.
it's kind
But
of
I recently, within the last 2 years, chose to change jobs, and that's a pretty
yeah.
major decision. And initially I did struggle with it because I moved from teaching economics to helping people become better teachers. And so I knew by making this decision that I was going to miss out on the day-to-day interactions with my students. And that provided a tremendous amount of joy in my life. And so that was kind of the major part that made me think really hard about the decision. In the end, I chose to change, and I'm really glad I did. I hope to still be able to get back in the classroom,
Sure.
every now and then, and establish those relationships again. But I've been tremendously happy with my new job. So.
Yeah, a few years before I had a similar decision and kind of a similar thought process. I love the interactions with students, love teaching, and I really do love research as well. And coming into more of an administrative role, it's trade-offs. One thing I find interesting here is, this isn't necessarily ranked by his, Levitt's ranking of what's more important, what's less important, but dyeing my hair is between should I quit drinking and should I break up? So that's the alcoholism, then dyeing the hair is less important, or, more important, then breaking up is even more important, I think. So that's kind of interesting. So the second clip is a bit of an interesting one. So Quinn is the youngest in a family of four. Quinn is the youngest in a family of four, and finds a crew, right? Comes into the season one, and he's just on the video game machine all the time and doesn't really even want to do anything with the family. But because his sister and her friend basically force him to go sleep on the beach, he ends up seeing these people who go rowing, and first thing in the morning, and they invite him, and he finds his group. He finds a group that is passionate and wants to have him included in this different lifestyle. And Quinn says, I no, I don't want to go back with you as a family.
Yeah, I
Family
think
gets on the plane. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think this is the one I understand a lot more, right? Because
Yeah.
I think that that sense of belonging is so powerful, and I think about that in the classroom a lot, right? How easier it is for students to learn when there is that sense of belonging, when
Yeah.
they feel like they have a place within your classroom and that they're accepted within your classroom. And you can just see the change in his own life when he starts to find those people and that passion.
Yeah. Right before we started this video, we were talking, and you were saying like economists there could be stereotyped for really making these exhaustive pro and con lists on every big decision versus just jumping in. And you mentioned that you're not necessarily the list person. I think I'm a bit more of a mental list person. I don't, if I had thought this is the coolest thing ever, that what I'm doing, I would have thought, okay, what's a way maybe I can integrate this a bit more and maybe leap in a couple of years. I don't think I would have been the one to be able to take the leap. So, I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen? We don't see the end of it. Of course, Quinn's 16, and the parents are on a plane. Pretty soon, the parents are going to be panicking and realizing we're flying away, and eventually probably go back and figure out, look, you've got to come back. And I don't know exactly how they do that, but I'm guessing it really didn't end up in Hawaii, although who knows? Who knows? Maybe Quinn will show up in season 3 of The White Lotus because it goes so there is, and by the time people are watching this, because we're recording before season 3 is dropped, but these are dropping throughout season 3 once a week. As of now, there's actually a betting market on which characters will reappear. And apparently one character is confirmed, and so you can't bet on that one. But then there are a number who aren't confirmed, and you can actually place wagers on whether they will make an appearance. So maybe Quinn will be one of them.
Maybe,
So
maybe. And if we see a lot of action in one direction, we can assume that information has gotten out, right?
I think we could make that assumption. I think we can make that assumption. So, for those who are watching, first, thanks to everybody, of course, for watching and joining us on this. If you have ever flipped a coin to make a major decision, would love to hear from you. You could email either of us. You could leave a comment. It would be pretty fascinating to hear your story of how a coin flip helped you. But behavioral economics, in some of our previous videos, right, we said people aren't robots, and some of the standard assumptions don't always hold. Behavioral economics has some interesting insights that it can provide, including sometimes how do you make big decisions and how could you make big decisions easier. So this research by Levitt is kind of fascinating.
And I would assume that let's say you do make a big decision like will I propose to my partner? Okay. If you flip a coin for that decision, I encourage you to keep that to yourself. Because
Especially that one.
that's not going to be well received on the other side.
That
Right?
one wouldn't be well received.
Well, yeah, it was a coin flip. It came down to a coin flip, and
I'm looking at that one. I would probably actually leave out the quit my job, depending where you are in if you're quitting your job to retire, yeah, you don't have anybody to answer to. But if you're 30 and you're really not sure and you're overly stressed and you flip a coin and you decide, I would come up with a different story when you go on your next job interview. Then, oh yeah, I flipped the coin and it was tails. So really good Really good point on that one. Thank you again for joining for this and for the 2 other videos on the White Lotus. I appreciate it's great to catch up, but also fun to just chit chat on some econ.
Yep, definitely enjoyed it.
And thank you to everybody for watching. Once again, this is part of a series. The goal is to make economics fun and exciting, and usually using pop culture. So please like and subscribe for more. But otherwise, we'll see you in the next video.